On today's show, as we celebrate Minnesota's deer season, it's important to know that times haven't always been good for our whitetail deer, but when the going got tough, a group of hunters got going. Next, you've heard of father and daughter hunts. Well, make that father and daughter 1, 2, 3, and 4.
See, this is what I get to deal with.
Our Minnesota Bound Classic this week deals with a tribute to a Minnesota native, Ode to the White-tailed Deer. Those stories and more, next.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's Select GMC dealers.
Hi everybody, Raven and I welcome you to the show. We all know Minnesota and walleyes go together, but truth be told, Minnesota and deer also go together. But some time back, Minnesota's deer were in trouble. Their population was going down when some deer hunters decided to do something about it. They're still doing it. Travis Frank has the story.
The white-tailed deer, a majestic and hardy creature that ranges from Minnesota's big woods to the north, all the way to the farmlands of the south. We love our white-tailed deer. Each fall, more than 500,000 Minnesota hunters take to their stands in hopes of bringing home venison for the table. While deer cover much of our landscape today, there was a time when Minnesota's herd nearly vanished. The year was 1969.
I was younger then, and I remember going out with my dad, and we cut browse, and we lost an axe in the snow. Snow was probably 36 inches, maybe 40 inches.
February's cold and snow had delivered a knockout punch.
It was just incredible. The deer were starving.
Upset over the dying deer, a handful of hunters took action.
And they actually took frozen, dead deer carcasses, put them in a pickup, drove them to the state legislature steps, and hauled them out. People were just freaking out.
Their sign and their message was simple: save Minnesota's deer. The name stuck. The organization Save Minnesota's Deer was born.
They were trying to get attention because their voices weren't being heard, and in fact things got so bad in 1971 there was not a deer season in Minnesota.
Slowly, their conservation message grew. So too did Minnesota's deer numbers.
It was a single issue thing, essentially to create more habitat for the white-tailed deer.
In 1980, their name changed one final time.
And so we need a unified voice that goes beyond just habitat. This particular piece.
Rod Dimich became one of 10 founding members. Ed Schmidt was another.
MDHA started with the objective of hunting, habitat, education, and legislation. Those are the four main objectives. Our membership at that time was $5. We wanted to make it so it was affordable for any deer hunter in the state.
If you wonder how many Minnesotans care about their deer, simply look around.
We said if we get 10,000 in 10 years, we would be doing well, and we surpassed that.
Today, their grassroots efforts have spread to 63 chapters and more than 20,000 members.
We have 600 members in this chapter.
In Grand Rapids, this banquet raises money for Habitat and helps fund their growing Forkhorn camps.
In Forkhorn 1, the kids get their firearm safety, plus hunting ethics, and all the hunting skills, the orienteering. Last year, it was 869 kids that went to camp for one full week.
It's all about the future. It's all about the kids. It's about the resource. It's about the magic of deer hunting. This is kind of showing that we believe in the traditions of the past and we want to carry them forward.
When you look at all of this, the history, and think you were part of this, what does that do for you?
It just makes me feel really good. It really does. It becomes a part of you, you know, and every little memory, you just keep collecting it, and then after a certain point, you want to help other people create memories. So, yeah, that's what it's pretty much about.
Creating memories and giving a voice to an animal that can't speak. That's the goal of the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association.
We don't stop in good year or bad year. We're looking at how DNR is managing the herd. We're looking at wolf management in that issue. We're looking at how to improve habitat. So in the ups and downs of good winter, good season, bad season, we're always there as a steady voice of the Minnesota deer hunter. Here we are 35 years later with 20,000 members, so they did something right.
And to think, this all began with a few frozen deer carcasses on the Capitol doorstep, placed there by a few hunters that care.
When we return, deer hunting is a tradition in many families, including this one. In this case, a tradition of father and daughters.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Minnesota Select GMC Dealers, Rapala Ice Force, Star Bank, and by Connecticut.
Deer camps in Minnesota is a long tradition, right? But when you're a father in deer camp with 4 daughters, oh my, look out, deer. It's said a daughter may outgrow your lap, but she'll never outgrow your heart. In the Stroming family, this dad knows the old saying, times 4.
See, this is what I get to deal with. They have to make sure the hair is ready.
Meet Randy Stroming, father of Natalie, Libby, Caroline, and Lauren. When the deer season opens, dad and daughters share in a very special family tradition. No, this isn't prom. It's deer hunting time.
For me, it becomes our own little, I'll call it me and my girls' deer camp.
The Stroming Deer Camp has been in the family since Randy's father purchased it in 1951.
There is that 12-year gap between you guys from the oldest to the youngest and those kind of things. But when they all were able to come up hunting together, it was cool. And for me, it was really cool because I'm like, gosh, all my girls are going to be here.
Ever since the girls were young, Dad included them in his hunting adventures. And soon, 4 women became passionate about the outdoors.
Each one of them unique personalities, and they're all different from the oldest to the youngest.
Wait, let's just see, who all has an iPhone now?
I refuse to get one. I'm not going to be playing Angry Birds in my stand.
Neither am I.
Just fun to see the new people come in and always kind of retell the same old stories. There's always still fun to hear and laugh about and reminisce about the old times.
A lot of teamwork and a lot of sisterly love and helping each other out and encouraging each other and just sharing stories.
I think my favorite part of it, not just the family part of it, was it's being in my stand, and it's just the peace and it's the calmness and it's just getting away and just enjoying nature and enjoying God's beauty out here.
When we actually start hunting with my dad, we sit 2 years in the stand with him just to get the feel and how real deer hunting is and the safety aspects of it.
These sisters have teamwork down, but what about sibling rivalry in the woods?
At the end of the day, who wants to have the biggest buck?
I think
Dad does.
I think I've gotten 5 deer.
Amen.
I have yet to get a deer, but duck hunting, I've gotten a goose. I have to get on there.
I've been hunting for 10 years and I've gotten 5 deer, so game on this year, Nat.
What's really tough is when they're all 4 gang up on Dad, and then I have to take them all on in a fun bickering way.
Now all the girls have their own deer stands, while Dad watches, listens, and waits.
And I just heard Lauren shoot over here. So in a while here, we'll go check and see what happens.
He ran right through here. So I shot him here and shot again when he got over here. 2 came right down the middle here.
Yeah. Did it come right to you?
Yeah, as I shot, I missed.
I want to see where that was then, okay?
Close, but no deer, it seems. But the tradition goes on. And yes, they have outgrown their father's lap, but never his heart.
This is for Ron Schara, remember? We're gonna make sure this is good.
You want to hear that nice sizzle.
Up next, we're off to the kitchen to discover the season's top venison recipe.
That is so good.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Border View Lodge.
Tis the season now for eating venison. With that thought in mind, Laura Schara has cooked up a special recipe, Wild in the Kitchen.
It's time to get wild in the kitchen. I'm here with Chef Jim Kinberg from Firelight Grill House and Cocktail Bar. And Chef Jim, last month we were cooking with whiskey, and this month we are cooking with red wine. I have to say I like where this is going. So we're making venison tenderloin. Tell me some of the ingredients that are in this recipe.
We've got some great winter-inspired ingredients. So we're going to be accenting with a little roasted root vegetables. We're going to be doing a sauce with the roasted grapes, cooked down with a little red wine reduction, a little beef stock in there. So great winter comfort food.
All right, how do we get started?
We're going to get started. Notice there's just a little bit of silver skin on there. I want to trim that off because that's going to be a little chewy. We're just going to season with some salt and pepper. All right. We want to get a nice sear on there. Some good extra virgin olive oil. And you want to hear that nice sizzle. It's going to be about 3 minutes on each side. That's about 3 turns. I'm going to give this a little peek and look at that nice crust we got going on there. Don't worry about that. That's all right. I've got just like 1 little garlic clove in there. Got some fresh thyme. Got some fresh rosemary. This is just going to kind of season the oil that it's searing in. And then what we're going to do is kind of take that oil and just baste it. So look at that. We got another crust on the other side. Next step. So these are just some nice red grapes we got. Put them right in the pan. So now we're going to put it in the oven, 400 degrees, and we want to cook it to an internal temperature, 130 degrees. About medium rare, 130 degrees. One of the most important steps beyond the searing is the resting. And that's also going to give it just enough time to make our sauce. So we're going to take those herbs, we're just going to remove them from the pan. You've got all that flavor kind of baked down to the bottom of that. And if you'd be so kind, why don't you pour like about 1/3 of a cup, so maybe half of that. And then we're going to do the same with the beef stock. Get all those flavors released from the bottom of the pan, and then we're going to let that reduce. So if you notice, it's cooked down to like a syrup consistency. So for plate up, I've got some of these great little roasted root vegetables. There's some parsnips. Just going to make like 3 nice little piles. Then we're going to take our tenderloin. Let's see how we did. So here's the real test.
Wow, look at that.
We got that nice medium rare interior. All right, and then we got the roasted grapes. We're just going to kind of pool right around those medallions. A little fresh Italian parsley on there. And look at that. Give that a try.
Hey, there we go. That It's so good. Once again, Jim, you have outdone yourself. This is absolutely delicious. So there you have it. Instead of drinking all your red wine, you may just try cooking with it. It's so easy, yet so wildly delicious.
Every year, hundreds of deer hunters fall out of their deer stand. Many of them get seriously injured, and several of them unfortunately die. But tree stand safety has come a long way. Right now, I'm actually wearing a safety harness. This thing clips into this jacket that I'm wearing, and it is very, very lightweight. Let me show you how it works. Clip around this leg and that leg. I don't even feel that this thing is on. It weighs maybe a pound, maybe 2, I don't know. It's very light, but I have full range of motion. Now, the important part, when I climb up in my deer stand. With my carabiner attached, now I'm in the tree and I really have peace of mind thinking that if some accident should happen, I'm not gonna fall all the way down to the bottom of the tree, probably not gonna hurt myself. That's good peace of mind for me and for my wife and kids at home. Plus, I still have full range of motion to be able to make a shot in any direction. I'm not hampered at all by this harness behind me. It's a very, very inexpensive way to protect ourselves. With today's technology, there really is no reason that we need to be a statistic anymore.
Up next, the simple grace and beauty of a Minnesota white-tailed deer. Stay with us.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Ellsworth Cooperative Creamery, Radco Truck Accessories, Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
You know, if you're a deer hunter, you soon realize that the white-tailed deer is a very special animal. Great defenses, eyes, ears, nose, speed. It has survived by eluding its enemies, which include, of course, deer hunters. All of which also means you learn to respect the white-tailed deer. When autumn glows under the rutting moon, this is your time, old friend of mine, you, the white-tailed deer. Your beauty is forever awesome. Your grace is nature's best. I never tire of seeing you, old friend of mine, you, the white-tailed deer. They say these are the good old days for you and your kind. You roam not only the forest, but the fields and farms too. There was a time when this century began, you were almost gone. Now we've got you coming back to 20 million strong. Now you're plentiful and sometimes a pest crossing a road, but still a pretty pest. And here's to you, old bighorn buck. You're a royal sight, a majesty in antlers. You're the fantasy of every deer hunter in the woods. And that includes me, old friend of mine, you, the white-tailed deer. Since time began, you're the prey and I've been the predator. For 1,000,000 years we've played these roles, while I made you and you made me. Today some say the game should end, that you're too pretty to be hunted down. Against me, you can't defend. Yes, they're talking about you, old friend of mine, you, the white-tailed deer. But nature's laws cannot be changed. It's been the hunt for you that gives you grace, that makes your feet so fleet. Your eyes and ears and good nose, too, are gifts from a hunt so bittersweet. If the world will listen, I'd like to say, every autumn it's an honor and a challenge and a privilege, and I'd like to make this clear, to share the woods with you, old friend of mine, you, the white-tailed deer. Ah, yes. The white-tailed deer. I'm man enough to admit they made a fool of me many times. Well, that about does it for us. Remember, introduce a kid to the great outdoors. Take them deer hunting. I'm Ron Schara, and of course, the star of the show, who's never been deer hunting and never will be, is Raven, right? You're not a deer dog. No deer dog.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.